Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Growing Up Alien. I should change that intro to hello, everyone, and welcome to my nightmare. I think you're going to like it, Alex Cooper, because this is, yeah, pretty much where we are. I don't want to do a big intro. I want to get into the main aspects here of this topic, which is control. And because I'm not a linear thinker, everything kind of comes down one big, huge bubble, which I can imagine the controllers can't stand. Um, um, it's very insidious what was done. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of how, I mean, it's really going to be a very like an abridged, I mean, an abridged version of the systemic fracturing of consciousness and intellectual pursuit, which has been going on really for quite some time. I also hopefully will talk about it's a book called Weapons of Mass Instruction, which I cannot recommend enough. John Taylor Gatto. This is not just some weirdo. Like, most stuff today, it's just some complete idiot babbling nonsense, without any research, without any background. So he actually did. There is research. He traces the foundations from the mid 19th century onwards of the compulsory schooling camps that were enacted basically around the globe at this point, and they're not for education. I think we all know that, obviously. So the beginning, I just want to just do my little quick 101. I'll be reading this. You should thank me that I will be reading this and not just going off the cuff, because if I go off the cuff, it's just, yeah, really impossible to follow. This is how I used to teach too, actually. Oh, my classes were wild. The swearing professor. No fucks left to give here, baby. All right. So what we need to ask, I say, here, and like I said, you ever notice people who are on their podcast and they're reading, but they don't tell you, they make it look like they're not reading when everybody knows they're reading. I'm reading. So here we go. So, when we look around us, and I always tell people, look outside, look what's going on, right? What's your life like right now? Has anything really changed for you? I mean, so, I mean, if it's getting worse, hopefully it's getting better. I don't know. But it's pretty much business as usual where I am. So, you need to use your brain. And I'm going to talk about how the cabal is infiltrating the current philosophical structure that we're being fed by their new age and people who don't call themselves new. I'm not new age. You're fucking new age. Yes, you are. You're part of the cabal institution, which is always about giving away your power to something or someone else. All right. Anyway, so one thing we need to ask in the current state of things is, right, and this has been going on for quite some time, and nobody ever asked this. Well, we're not even given the place to ask it, right? When you see these people come forward and they're all experts and they're all up in space, right? Oh, I'm in space all the time. I'm sitting at the table, blah, blah, blah. I'm working for a secret military. Okay, that's great. All right, wonderful. I have some questions I'd like to ask you, but because everything they tell you is all curated. They're never in hot debated discussions. And they'll talk about corroborating evidence. Yeah, you're all corroborating your own evidence. You're not pulling in any evidence from anywhere else. There's no control here. It's just a bunch of people getting together with the same evidence. Right? Like, that ain't evidence. That's a curated story. So the main question I have is, why is an illegal and dangerous cabal allowed to subjugate a race, engage openly in abductions and illegal trade without any repercussions for decades? This cabal flagrantly violates galactic law, merchant law, and yet it is treated like the golden child. They're negotiating with them. They're negotiating with a Nazi, violent, murderous organization. All right. Who is behind this propagation of an interstellar, called the ICC, right? Mafia, and why is nothing being done to stop it? They know full well the Terrans are not a developing race. They are an engineered and oppressed slave race. This is the equivalent of looking at a colonized state that was brought to heel by genocide and blaming the survivors of that state for being stupid and backward. This is what you're being fed, and people are buying it lock, stock, and barrel. They're buying it. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is nothing but bullshit. It's dichotomy. It's gaslighting. You're being made a fucking ass of. And everybody's jumping on the ship, jumping on board. All right. Even Jesse's pissed. All right. The Terrans, and this is your live. You're right here. You're in it. You're right in it. Are a violently oppressed race that is being gaslit, gatekept, prevented from expressing any kind of technological pursuit, scientific pursuit. Even we're being censored now, what we can say. You know all about censorship. Hello. We're being penalized and we're being patronized. This is the elephant in the galactic room, not fucking disclosure. Okay. So here's my quick 101. What happened on Earth, right? How the fuck did we get here, right? Well, you really wasn't, oh, excuse me. Messed up my thing here. Oh, for God's sakes. Me and this stupid computer. Right? All right. Let's fast forward to the systems, right? We all know about. I'm not going to go backstory. Let's fast forward to the systems that are still in place today and that are being propagated by disclosure itself. The people that are talking about ETs, people that are talking about disclosure, they're all doing the same thing. They're propagating. Jesse's going off. He's pissed. Jeffy's like, they're all doing the same thing to you that the Cabal is doing, that the ETs are doing. Okay, so humans have had perception systematically and with precision manipulated and delivered directly to them, right? Peer pressure, reward and punishment. You know what happens. Like, say you're watching something on YouTube, right? It's some guru telling you about the ETs because they're on ships or whatever the fuck they're doing, right? And you ask a question like this. What happens? Well, instant punishment. Instant punishment, right? Not like, oh, hi, Fred. That's an interesting concept you brought up. No, right? So any kind of discussion, analytical, academic discussion, wherever you go now, you're immediately shut down. You're immediately vilified. You're red herringed. You're the enemy. There is no discussion allowed. Red flag. So reward and punishment, again, this goes back to the school systems, hello, are the tools to steer society in whatever direction was desired. This was physically enacted through manufactured leaders, religions, mores, secular art or literature, socio-political stuff. Individuals that were outside or resisted the lone wolves or the black sheep, whatever you want to call them, right? You even got names for them. Even passively, there's just those individuals in society that aren't actively doing anything, not the rebels, just like something don't feel right. Even them, right? The passive people that sit outside, the program structure are punished. There is the concept of removal, right? Social interaction, they're stigmatized, right? Rights are removed. Ability to procure needs are being hindered. Psychological attacks and open physical punishment, right? And there is a scale for these punishments. And even that is contrived and controlled by the system. So when you do any kind of resistance, the system and its minions, the masses, immediately understand and know what kind of punishment you deserve at this point. So these subtle but powerful messages also shape the path of thought and action in a society. This is all programming. Religion, education, politics, culture, family structure, are all indoctrination tools. So you want to feed this stuff to children when they're in, and of course, that's when it happens initially, right? Obviously, because a child, by the nature of being a child, is dependent, its survival is dependent on the system. Is brilliant. And the system itself is broken. The system is dystopian, and it's been dystopian for a very long time and on purpose. So when we look at growing up on Era, that is also a system. That is also a matrix. But many people feel that it is somehow more pleasurable and more benevolent. And that may very well be. Nevertheless, going back to Earth, that's where we are. So these systems are maintained, but then like a perpetual motion machine, you simply insert a behavioral program and then allow the society to police itself. You're living it right now. Humans are now in a self-perpetuating loop of entropic self-enslavement, self-limitation, and self-delusion. So the foundation of this is fear, intimidation, reward, punishment, tedious and predictable actions, self-doubt, judgment, and the creation of a hegemonic system where chosen experts, institutions, and individuals are lauded and given artificially enhanced status. So let me move my thing here. So your average person, you, me, right, and the rest of the schmucks, is taught to worship, respect, imitate these fake institutions or individuals. Their status is maintained through ritual, subconscious seeding, and the desire to merge with a society and its constructs. All of that is an illusion. Okay. It's not real. The only reason that it happens is because people keep maintaining the illusion. It's so sad. It's moronic. I mean, it's just beyond moronic. You can call it whatever you can call these magical leaders whatever you want, right? It used to be a priest, a king, a celebrity now, right? A social figure, a hero, an authority, a politician, whatever, right? When one of these assholes dies, God forbid, you just saw this enacted. How many times do you see this enacted, right? People die all the time. People are murdered on the street all the time. But God forbid one of these authority figures, social figures, heroes, when they get killed or they die, oh, it's a big deal. Nobody gives a shit if it happened to you. If you were walking down the street and get shot, you think anybody give a shit? No. It'd be just another murder because you're not one of the magical ones, right? So when you enhance, when you worship, when you run around like a complete fool because one of these fake heroes somehow something happens to them, whatever, right? You're maintaining the illusion. You're maintaining the structure. So here we go, right? One of these assholes dies, whoever happens, right? There's a big ceremony. This is all part of the illusion. This is all part of the mind fuck. Big events happen, right? Oh, they're arrogant, they're lavish, they're shocking grandeur, you know? So it subconsciously demands that you see this person as so far above your status and worth because they must be, in order to command this grandeur, they must be magical, right? Because you never see anybody around you ever commanding this kind of grandeur. So this illusion is deeply ingrained, is burned, is branded into the population because if you are the one who resists this, right? If you resist this, I'm sorry, I'm sad that person passed away. I'm sure it's a problem for their family, and we send condolences their way. I don't think they deserve a fucking party when somebody else doesn't. You're maintaining the system. You're maintaining the illusion. because no one is of any more worth than anybody else. And how many times do you say that? Oh, no one is of any more worth than anybody else. But yet, are you the first at the scene? One of these celebrities is dragged out. You're creating a dichotomy in your own brain. And the masses, as you see over and over again, will fight to keep each other reminded that how dare you think you matter? How dare you not fall into the masses thinking? How dare you think like someone else? How dare you think independently? You will be punished. See, what happens is the brain tries to make sense of the illusion. This is very similar to pareidolia, where somebody shows you a picture of a cloud and tells you it's a UFO. It's like, it's a cloud. Somebody takes a blurry picture and tells you, I think I see a ghost in there. Like, that's pareidolia. Or when you see a face in tree bark, or you look up at the sky and a cloud looks like a dog, that's your brain trying to make sense of something, right? And this is what's happening here. See, people's brains are trying to make sense of the illusion. And then when you step forward and kind of put a little crack there, they go batshit fuck crazy and they attack you, just like they did in the witch hunts. It's the same thing because this is all mind control. So whenever you hear that you need to fix yourself or do a thing to make yourself worthy to meet or be anywhere, that is the matrix. That is the hegemonic lattice. It is an illusion. It is not reality, but it is the reality they want you to accept. It is the reality they want you to not only accept, but maintain. Are you doing it? Most likely. So the current popular mantra, again, repetition is key. By its very action on the cognitive process, it is a manipulation technique. Repetition is a manipulation technique. So you have a current popular mantra that the ETs are not going to save you. That's a psyop. So now you're thinking that that you're not you're not being saved is silly, and you're not worth being saved. And everybody fell for it because you heard it over and over and over and over again, right? You are not worth saving. You need to do or attain something to be saved. A religion, right? That's what the religions teach you, right? You have to follow the rules. You have to do this or that, blah, 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 blah. You have to throw water on your head. You have to eat these little pieces of bread. You got to stand on one leg. You got to walk around a box 50 times and kiss somebody's ass, right? In order to be saved. Right? So it's so sad. I mean, I can't even, it's sad. I feel so sad to see this. Anyway. So they create a firewall of philosophy that is irrefutable because you're not allowed to refute it. So if somebody refutes it, you get shot. So you're fully denied self-determination, access to real information, and access to state your position or to refute or discuss anything. You're silenced. You can't even, you're not even given a place to talk. Dichotomy is the mind fuck. And it's interesting because my PhD is in colonialism, and here it is, coming. Their cows are coming home. I'm finally getting a place to use this. So there is no logical basis. It's word salad. You also have to work, right? Actions are contradictions, but nearly all prevent you from stating your case, and they never ask what it is you think, need, or have an opinion on. It's all top down. You are silenced. They speak over you. They may even insult you. It may be passive aggressive. It may be an open insult. It may be whatever, right? Name calling, who knows? They speak over you, for you, and tell you what will be done or not done without ever leaving room or asking for your thoughts. What you might like, what you might not like, right? oh, but you get to vote here on this planet, and the politicians represent you. They never fucking represented me. I never got a chance to talk to a politician ever. And even if I did, what? They have control over what I say or think or want, right? You pay taxes and your money goes to things you may not want your money going to because it goes against your mores or whatever. They don't care. You have no, see, it's all illusion. But you try to explain this to people, they don't get it. They will fight to the death to support their own subjugation. It is what it is. Dichotomy, right? Okay, let's look at the GFW, right? The GFW is an authority, like every other one, that maintains peace, and this is what they say, right? That maintains peace in galactic law. Okay, all right. They openly claim to be doing this, but they do not include you as a legally protected entity. But nothing adds up when you start to analyze it, does it? We're not going to save you, but, oh, by the way, we're out saving these people over here. We just did a rescue. Really? Really? So I didn't think you, this is dichotomy, right? So you just told me you don't really save anyone, but then you just went out and saved someone. Interesting. Okay. You will also have self-proclaimed authority figures delivering canons, intel down to you. Again, without any tangible proof and without you being able to discuss it. They also create a miracle type phenomena-based character that steps forward as different or blessed or gifted. Someone who is not like the masses, the rabble. An anointed one. This could be an expert, a snake oil character, a celebrity, right? A contactee. And how they do this is that this person will be brought to you in I would say repetition, right? Be the same names, the same name, the same name, the same story, over and over and over again. And these people will be given platform after platform after platform because this is the cabal creating a scenario for you that you will believe because you keep saying the same person. Okay. So this is all based on the construction of a being to be worshipped, to be followed without question, because obviously they are exalted. Because in your mind, due to all the programming, you're like, well, this person must be of importance because look at everyone who wants to talk to them. Everybody wants them. That's all a lie, guys. That's all a lie. Ooh, then if you ever try to reach people like this, right? Because you have questions. Ooh, they're too busy. They are so in demand that they won't have time to address you. But here's what they're going to do for you. They will create an edict, a carefully curated to be bestowed over you thing, a podcast, what have you, right? Again, without you being able to discuss it. No dissertation defense here. They don't have to defend their dissertation. How dare you think I have to defend my dissertation, right? What we need are roundtables where these people come together and then as a dissertation defense. And then you have, right, a control interviewer, several interviewers, asking them to defend themselves, to defend their theories or whatever, right? Defend their evidence, defend. That needs to be done. That needs to be created, right? So these are your hegemonic entities, the unreachable, right? We're creating this and we're maintaining it. We are doing that, okay? Not me. I don't give a fuck. But anyway, it's there. The badge of ego, right? So what happens is a lot of people, Terrans, and this is good. This goes back to school and parents and what have you. They very readily lock onto these because they want to somehow siphon. They think if I follow a famous person, somehow that radiates onto my persona, and they get a badge of ego because of it. So it creates a desire in the followers to be like the Godhead, right? To dress like them, to copy them, to memorize stuff they say, to canonize them, what they say, to seek wisdom from them, and to mimic various things this person does or this group does. So all actions that erase the self and create a persona, right? A clone, a shell that is entangled or enmeshed with the figure being followed. This encourages, states of helplessness. When you do not go within for information, when you always seek it from without, and this is what we've been trained to do. This is the brainwashing, right? Shut up and do what you're told. How many times has that been in your world, right? Shut up and do what you're told. So what happens is for these follower personalities, and that's a lot of people, they go crazy if that need to be led is not fed. They go batshit crazy. They get panicky. What do you think? What do you think? And they don't ask you what you think because they want to have a discussion. They want you to babble something back to them so that they have, oh, I can feel relief now. A Godhead told me what they think, and I'm going to think the same, right? Because they're in a panic state. They're in a fear state because they don't think anymore. They don't have a self. They don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. They are a clone. They are an entity. They are a created entity, whatever that is, because they cannot rely on their own minds. They don't know how to because they no longer know. They've been looking outside themselves for so long. They've been fed what to do, when to do it, how to jump for so long, like a trained dog. They no longer know who they are. They can't go inside. There's nothing there, just fear, just empty blackness and fear. So they don't know what to do. And this is your average person, and this is a real problem. But again, it's what are you going to do? No, that's above my pay grade. So they are archetypes and not individual beings. And yeah, that's where we are right now, and we're beginning to be on the edge of the mind control digital systems, right? The loss of, well, I mean, ultimately, most people don't no longer have a sense of self anymore anyway, right? And I suspect a lot of this. So the internet, obviously, the constant scrolling and feeding of information, that only gets people to be more outside themselves. And then of course you have video games. So video games create an illusion. So the world itself is pretty sucky. No one wants to be in it. So you take a little kid and the parents don't want to bother with the kids, so they stick it in front of a video game. So you see kids today, it's all they're on their phone. Oh. You see adults. They're walking down the street, they got music in their ears, whatever. They have to have a distraction. They have to have that because they're always looking outside. Oh, they have there's no them. It's just out stuff they have to do, right? They'll think, well, that's them. Oh, I have a personality. I have to do all these things today. It's like, that's not a person. That's not you. That's not an inner self. So that's on purpose. It's all been laid down to prepare people, what they call the mass depopulation. A lot of that will be, so there'll be a lot of individuals that they will depopulate, don't need them, but then the rest will be, hive-minded like the Greys. So I want to slide in. This, I can't tell you how brilliant this, the research you did here is fantastic. So what we consider now the modern age began in the mid of the 19th century, where you're beginning to erase the person, right? And that was the goal. And interestingly, it came again from the realm of what would be the Nazis. That's what was adopted in this country. And he has an interesting piece here about the prison system, which is the education. It's not education. It's a mind control system. So this guy, H.L. Mencken, this was written in April of 1924. He was a public figure, and this was in a magazine. He said, the purpose of public education is not to fill the young of the species with knowledge and to awaken their intelligence. Nothing could be further from the truth. The aim is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to put down dissent and originality. Ooh, that is its aim in the United States, and that is its aim everywhere else. All right, so the system here actually came from Prussia. You're going to go back to your history, right? Um, so the U.S. and the writer, he says, it's ironic that the U.S. had recently been at war with Germany, right? And the heir to the Prussian thought and culture is, of course, the United States. And of course, we know later on that the United States during World War II would merge and mesh with the Nazis, of course. So this education system is based on that in Prussia. So another fellow here, William James, in the turn of the 20th century, right? Orestes Brown, again, Christopher Lash's book, The True and Only Heaven. Anyway, was publicly denouncing the deliberate Prussianization of American schools back in the 1840s. Horace Mann, seventh annual report to the Massachusetts Board of Education in 1843, is essentially a paean to the land of Frederick the Great, and a call for its schooling to be brought here. That's for Horace Mann. Horace Mann was deep state. Oppression served as Washington's aid during the Revolutionary War, and so many German-speaking people had settled here by 1795 that Congress considered publishing a German language edition of the federal laws. But what shocks is that we should so eagerly have adopted one of the very worst aspects of Prussian culture, an educational system deliberately designed to produce mediocre intellects, to hamstring the inner life, to deny students appreciable leadership skills, and to ensure docile and incomplete citizens, all in order to render the populace manageable. So this guy here, John Taylor Gatto, actually was looking for a lot of information on a guy named Inglis at Harvard University, and this was all hidden. And the roots of the system here actually came from Inglis, and he was finally able to track down and dig up the treatises that was written. So Inglis is the father of the education system here. It's Alexander Inglis, 1913. His book was Principles of Secondary Education. And this is revolutionary, but in a deep state way. So, and again, Inglis, for whom an honor lecture in education at Harvard is named. It's like once you start to break down, you can go in any kind of rabbit hole and direction you want. You get to see all the tentacles of the deep state everywhere. It's amazing. So the goal of the school system as English and the Cabal decides is to divide children by subject, by age, by grading, by reward, by punishment, right? By constant rankings on tests, and by many other more subtle means. It was unlikely that the ignorant mass of mankind, separated in childhood, that's the key time to do this, would ever reintegrate into a dangerous whole. And we are at a time right now where it seems very, 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 very unlikely. And I hope I'm wrong, and I hope there's a shift. But right now, most people are completely incapable of launching any kind of coherent resistance. They don't have it in them. And partially that was chemically done, but and genetically, epigenetics, but your average person will not resist, is gone. And it is what it is. Anyway, so Inglis breaks down the purpose, or the actual purpose, of modern schooling into 6 basic functions, any one of which is enough to curl the hair of those innocent enough to believe that the 3 traditional goals of education listed earlier are, no. It's all about subjugation. Everything in our society is about subjugation. to, yeah. Anyway, the adjustive or adaptive function. Schools are to establish fixed habits of reaction to authority. I mean, I don't have to, yeah. Most people were just reacting to fear to authority. And that's why I tell people if anything goes down, never, ever, ever follow. But most people will. And this is where I just say you have to be really, really in your own zone because they're going to try to drag you down. They're going to try to drag you into it because they are so programmed. There's no thought there. And I just want to mention again, that's actually something that we've been being programmed right now is not to think. So in these new age communities and the ET disclosure communities and all these ET social media channels where people are talking to ETs or they love the ETs or whatever they're fucking doing, getting letters from ETs or who knows. They always tell you to, oh, it's love. And there's nothing wrong with love. Love is great. I like love. We all like to feel love. Love is wonderful. Love is creation, blah, 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 right? But what they're telling you to do is to not think. That your brain is the enemy. That thinking, that analytical process is the enemy. This is what they keep telling people over and over and over again. And they're creating a hegemony, an ego party, right? Because you got a bunch of people and you see them all the time, and they're such in this cult. I know, I think I use my heart. I'm heart-centered. I don't think, I feel. I walk around feeling. If you think you're stupid, just feel. I'm so much better than you because I feel I'm channeling, my chakras are all lined up. I no longer need a brain. Like, yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do to you. That's going to be the own conscious. Anyway, yeah. You need to fucking think. Get the fuck out of that shit and think and reason. Use your brain. And feeling's great too, but they're going to mastermind your brain. They're going to take over your brain. That's what all the indoctrination has been. So those people who are all love and feel, they're all going to be fucked. They're easy targets. So exactly. They're no longer capable of thought. They're no longer capable of reacting through analyzing evidence that's happening around them. They're docile. They've been castrated. Don't resist. If you resist, you're like them. You're like the bad guy. There's only love. There's only flow. I just flow. I never resist any, and they always have that glazed, I don't resist. Right? Yeah, you don't resist. You won't resist. We know that. Um, the integrating function is number two. This might well be called the conformity function. So all these people who think they're all so special because I read this guru, I follow this person, I really like this person, I really like that person. That's the integrating function. I need to find somebody outside of me to tell me what to do. This might well be called the conformity function because its intention is to make children as alike as possible. Because when you join those cults, right? Right? Everybody is the same. Try this, right? Go on one of those social media channels where there's somebody who's an ET guru or whatever, right? And say something. Now, I don't mean make an ass, like you're stupid. I mean to encourage discourse, right? So I'll delete people from my channel if they come on and call me a crazy ass. That's not discourse. I want discourse. I want to be debated. I will never delete anybody who debates. But I will get rid of people who are just passive aggressive and trying to be an asshole and say, you're a mean person. That's not debate. That doesn't make any sense. That's just passive aggressive, gaslighting. You're an asshole. That's all. I think I'm an asshole. I'm going to say something. It's like, yeah, that's all they're doing. And try that though. So try to go, and we know a lot of people who have been following a very well known. I get people to write to me who are I know I never follow anybody. So I have people who come forward who followed a certain person, and they're like, geez, whenever I said something, they're like, wow, they like fucking cut my head off. I'm like, and I was just saying, like, so yeah. So its intention is to make children as alike as possible. People who conform are predictable, and this is of great use to those who wish to harness and manipulate a large labor force, or a blue beam, or a messianic blue beam. I guess Chris Bledsoe was saying there's going to be a messy. He's kind of smoking the, and I don't like to, but he's into the Jesus thing. You do you. He says, I guess I don't know. I have to go back on this, but I heard that Jesus is supposed to be coming in on Easter. Yeah. Are they planning a messianic blue beam? I guess some lady came, a lady, right, came to, this is what, anyway. And I know Semyasi is just, Jesus Christ, she gets so pissed off, anyway. I don't think so, but, if you actually listen and misinterpret, this is what happened to Semyasi. She got so misinterpreted in what she was trying to say because people are all locked in this religion and all this worship. And oh, here's a beautiful hot babe in a white dress. I think, and I blame the ETs for this. And now it just didn't occur to them. Please don't show up to a human in your clothes. And I know you don't think about that. We just put clothes on. We don't think about what we're wearing. They do the same thing. So they come in front of these fucking men, right? Here's this, 5'10" blonde bombshell in a robe, some kind of weird flowing clothes coming out of a ship. And this guy's like fucking, Randy now, And oh, here's this goddess woman, oh my God. And she's just trying to, hey, dude, here's some information. And he's like, oh, it's the Virgin Mary, or something like that in his as Semyasi says, is chooch. These are chooches. So they went to here's why they did this. Okay. They should have brought a guy, not a woman. It's just Jesus Christ. Anyway, like Semyasi, so anyway, she just says chooch. They're chooches. All right. So they should have brought a guy. It's the worship thing. Anyway, the ETs, the benevolent ETs are pulling their hair out. Let's just say that. But don't bring a woman to some dude. Bring a guy, because they're going to go batshit crazy. They're going to think, oh, whatever. It's some kind of angel or John, Jesus Christ, right? Or Jesus Christ. Don't bring him either. That's a bad idea. So. Number 3, the diagnostic and directive function. School is meant to determine each student's proper social role. This is done by logging evidence mathematically and anecdotally on cumulative records, as in your permanent record. Yes, you do have one. We're all stamped by your fingerprints, everything, your birth certificate, your driver's license. You're a number in a system, and you're all being tracked. And of course, now you're being tracked digitally. You know that. So anyway. Number 4, the differentiating function. Once their social role has been diagnosed, children are to be sorted by role and trained only so far as their destination in the social machine merits. You remember when you were a kid? Were you the smart kid? Were you the musical kid? Were you the pretty kid? Were you the not pretty kid? Were you the good little girl? There's nothing so dangerous as that. I was the good little girl, right? There's nothing so dangerous as that. Because the good little girl is the one that's the doormat. The good little girl is the one that allows themselves to be used and abused. And this is a Pleiadian problem. Those of you, many, many Pleiadians who are Pleiadian people here, right? We're innocent. We like to help people, and we get fucked. All right, because you're playing a role. And there's something inside you, and that's cool, but you're in a Draco civilization. That's violent. That's full of lies, that's full of illusion, and that's truly evil, and it eats innocence. So you have to really be aware. So we all know those, right? We've all had a role placed upon us by society. Oh, an athletic kid or a not athletic kid or whatever, right? All labels, whatever label you want, right? So children are to be sorted by, and your parents did this, and your friends did this. Children are to be sorted by role and trained only as far as their destination in the social machine merits. And you believe it because you're a kid, and you have to because you're a kid, and your survival depends on it, right? and not one step further. So much for making kids their personal best. No, of course not. And you might have been told that, right? In school, you can be whatever you want to be. I want to be an astronaut, right? You need to develop your person. That was all dichotomy. Those were mind fucks, right? Number 5, the selective function. This refers not to human choice at all, but to Darwin. Darwin was deep state. There's another guy besides Darwin, but Darwin was part of the cabal. So all of Darwin's stuff was pushed forward. The other guy was suppressed. So Darwin believed in violence. The other guy believed in natural selection based upon a more softer aspect. He was shut up. We all know, everything's fake, right? Everything's part of the show. So Darwin's theory of natural selection is applied to what he called the favored races. In short, the idea is to help things along by consciously attempting to improve the breeding stock. Derp. Schools are meant to tag the unfit with poor grades, remedial placement, and other punishments. Clearly enough that their peers will accept them as inferior. This is Nazism, really. This is Draco. It's not. This is Draco, right? Y'all remember the kids that were made fun of. Y'all remember there were certain cool kids and all. That was all created. We don't have that on Era. That was all created to create competition, to basically kill off certain kids, right? You know those, you might have been, I was severely bullied, so that was all part of, again, they were trying to break me for weaponize me. So there was the breaking. But anyway, that's another, that was, you had the same thing, right? So schools were meant to tag the unfit. So you remember that. It was Lord of the Flies in school, wasn't it? It's Lord of the Flies. So as I said, their peers will accept them as inferior or superior and effectively bar them from the reproductive sweepstakes. That's what all those little humiliations from first grade onward were intended to do. Wash the dirt down the drain. The school to prison pipeline. Number 6, the probedeutic function. The societal system implied by these rules will require an elite group of caretakers. Who could that be? To that end, a small fraction of the kids will quietly be taught how to manage this continuing project, how to watch over and control a population, deliberately dumb down and declawed in order the government might proceed unchallenged and corporations might never want for obedient labor. Derp. It's all done by the parents, by school. It's a Draco system, right? How many people here, and some people could, right, have a real conversation with their boss? Why do you even have a boss? We don't have bosses. On Era, there's no bosses. Everybody works together to further all of our happiness. We don't answer to a boss. We don't beg shit. I will never work again. I have no interest in working. I don't work, and I'm never going to work again. I actually never worked under a boss because I was a professor, so you kind of, you know what I'm saying. Well, the Cabal was at the university, but they let us idiot professors just go about our business, basically. So people have this misunderstanding of what universities, how they're actually run. So actually the professors are not the bad guys. So that's what the Cabal does, right? They make it the professors are teaching the kids to be gay or whatever, something like that, right? No, that's not true, actually. And all of the cool people I've ever met were professors. They're thinkers, usually, right? There are always a few oddballs, but I mean, again, most of them. It's actually the structure, it's the hegemonic structure, not the actual professors in a university. It's the university itself. That's Cabal. That's the bad guy. That's the one who controls stuff. That's the one who controlled us. So it really isn't. I mean, they'll pull out, and that's what they'll do. See, there are some professors that are gatekeepers, and of course, you would have to be a gatekeeper. Let's just say you're in a physics department. You would have to be a gatekeeper because if you did anything off, and I guess as Michael Salla found out, if you many years ago when he did something really stupid, and went against the cabal. So if a professor goes against the system in a way that's noted, you will be taken aside and reprimanded, depending how what you did. So that's part of the system. So if you're in the physics department and you want to work on like, ether energy, which has been, of course, has been done, right? And if you want to work on any of these things, like warp drive or whatever, right? You know, Cuvier and Sal Pais was able to do it under the Navy, right? So you would be stopped. So they teach fake physics, because they can't teach the real one. It's shifting. And it's shifting by peer pressure. So, you have individuals that were sort of rogues back in the 80s and 90s who were actually trying to come forward with ether energy, free energy devices. And every one of them was found dead, either obviously murdered or, oops, something weird happened, jump off a cliff or something. I just happened to be walking and fell off, hit by a car. They're too stupid to cross the street, stuff like that. Yeah, they were all, and that's, and it was no, and it is known in these realms of electrical engineering and all that stuff that you don't do certain things. So, and of course, we all met our friend Dave Rossi, right? He found out, whoops, you don't do certain things. Yeah, you'll get a knock at the door. So we're seeing that lesson now because people are allowed to actually create their own free energy devices and to buy free energy devices and to kind of run them. I don't think you could. I think if you were in an apartment, I don't think, like, I think if you have your own house, you can do it, Um, but you'd have to be in a rural. So I don't know how that would roll in like a town. So if you live in a town, I live in a town. There are, I mean, you really don't own your own property. You know that anyway. So, towns control everything you do. So you can't be free. You're not free in a town. You have to follow all the rules. So I don't think legally you could go off grid in a town. I don't think that would be considered kosher. However, if you're rural, then I think you can because it's a little different. So it has to do with like sort of property laws, and they put it all under health, right? Right. So you would basically be not hooked into the grid on your house. I don't know if you could do solar and then somehow manage to like fake it. I don't know because you basically couldn't have a house without electricity. I don't think that would roll in the town, even though you had electricity because it was free energy. I don't, like I said, I don't know. Like even in my town, it has to do with like rubbish. So they pick up the rubbish. They have the town. You have to like tell them why you don't want to opt in to their rubbish system, right? So there's all kinds of rules that they do, and now they're rolling. That was the world that can, WEF, right? The boards of health in all of your cities and towns are basically gods. They can do whatever the fuck they want. So I firsthand experienced that. They can do whatever they can manipulate the law. They create their own law. They manipulate the court systems. The court systems lie. I saw it. I experienced it. There's no people think that's why I say when I mention something like the Nuremberg Code, like all the violations that you're seeing that are being done on the populations around the world are Nuremberg Code violations. There's no law on earth. There is no Nuremberg Code. I mean, yes, there is, but when the wolves own the fold, own the sheep, and the wolves make the law is for the wolves. It isn't for the sheep. There's no law that's for you. It's all for them. It's an illusion to shut you up. So people think well, they can't do that. There's a Nuremberg Code. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They're above the law. They made the law. The ones that are breaking the law create the law. It's like, leads us back to the original question. Earth, the crust, is breaking galactic law openly for decades. It isn't facing any punishment. Why is that? I'm just going to leave you with that. And we'll see you upstairs where we're continuing this, campaign to flush out the garbage and to try and save, yes, save what's left of the population on this planet and to get rid of criminals. So, is what it is. All right. We'll see you guys. If I can manage to find the cursor to actually stop the recording, because I don't edit anyway.